Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and we've got a bit of everything today, but the new stuff is focused mainly on trains. So as I say, there's quite a lot of different things to get through today. Brick Nottingham is incredibly busy at the moment. We've got lots of packages arriving to provide all of the parts for the new builds that I've been designing over the summer. We've also received Diagon Alley, which I'm busy building. It's an incredibly big and detailed set, so it's taking quite a while, but it's a really interesting and cool build, so I'm really looking forward to incorporating that. I also wanted to show you today the amendments that you've suggested going into the last two buildings, being the hospital and the space tower. And then I wanted to do a few amendments that you've suggested in the past for trains and some new train stuff. So a very busy, packed agenda for today. So we'll start off just by showing you the two elements of Diagon Alley that I have finished to date. And one is the Ollivanders setup and one is the Flourish and Blots. And you're going to see these in the old town of Brick Nottingham before too long. And I think they're going to be a great match. I mean, they aren't exactly the same age as the medieval village builds that I've got in there already, representing the Crown Pub and the tourist office, but they're not too far off. And these bay windows and overhanging bits on each floor, I just think, you know, it's going to be fantastic. These colours as well really match that area, and even the depth does, so I've got very little to do. You can put these builds back to back, kind of like that, kind of to make a pair of modulars rather than four open-backed ones. But I think it's going to be better to have them this way so we can really see them all fully from the front, because I think that's where we're going to get the most benefit from them. And even the minifigures are really good. And they don't have too much of their skin tones going onto the torsos, so I should be able to yellow them up very easily. I'm also thinking that for some of the buildings, I might have to kind of de-wizardificate them a little bit. I'm thinking that a bookstore will be still very valid and worthwhile, even though we've already got the modern bookshop as part of the last modular. And then this one, I think it can remain a cafe. I might take these sort of twee chairs off this roof. I'm not entirely sure about those, but you know, you can never have enough cafes, even if they are focused on ice cream, because I've already got ice cream vendors all over the place, really. This one, pen shop, I like it. I think it can stay a pen shop. You often get sort of very specialist shops in places like this, so why not do that? And then Ollivanders from the outside really could be anything. I know it's a one shop in the set, but if you just remove a few of the wands, you could fill it with anything. So I think that's great. And I've deliberately left off the sticker, which I will keep safe, but that says wand maker, because I might not want to use it for that use. And I've got my first owls as well, two there and one up here. So yeah, really, really good set. Really happy with it so far. Anyway, I'm wittering on, so let's get on to the first thing on the agenda, and that's to go up to the Lego room and look at all those amendments that you've suggested. Okay, so in the Lego room, just want to go through the amendments to the last two buildings we did. And the first is in the operating theatre of the hospital. It's kind of combining a few suggestions here. One was just to add a bit more kit, so I've added all these drawers and units on the left. Another one was to add some tools to kind of work on the more metal elements of Cyrus Borg, our cyborg. And another one was to add his old arm. So I've done all of those on the left here. And you'll see that this blue-topped set of units here actually has all red-shaped tiles on the top. And they're to represent the large amount of blood that's come from chopping off his old arm with that massive saw. So it's a bit of a gory scene now, but I think you'll agree it's good fun. So that's a really good combination of suggestions. And I do intend to do more to the hospital, like increase the size of this helipad, but I haven't got the pieces at the moment, so they'll just have to wait, unfortunately. But it is looking good in there. And then onto the space tower, which I've just moved here so we can look at it a bit more easily. I'm going to be putting it against this wall with its back here, because I did knock this for 6. I really did. I turned around when it was in position over here and I caught it with my elbow. And basically, to say that the scatter radius was huge is really to understate it. But let's go through a few more amendments here. So on the ground floor, we'd already added the plinth, but I decided to put the chair on its side just to represent a struggle. So that was one of mine, so that doesn't get a bedoing. Over here on this floor, we'll be better off looking at it from the front. Let's see if I can turn this without knocking it over again. But we've got our lady who's a bit sort of stunned. Let's get it focusing on the right bit. And she's spilling her tea, and you can kind of see it sloshing out, and that's by using a kind of horn piece, a very small animal horn piece, just balancing by gravity in the cup. And then there's a largely growing puddle. Maybe the puddle should have been a bit smaller, but essentially I only had a 2x2 tile for that. So that is that amendment. And while we're here, we can also see that I've flipped this column of windows. You see, it's exactly the same frame piece, but the other way around. So that bit of glass is actually at the back of the pane rather than the front. And that just suggests kind of a sliding door for both of the lift doors to give it a bit more detail and show where the lift goes. So those were both fantastic ideas. So we better do 2 boings. There we go. So I really like both of those. So while we've got this way facing, I'm going to go right to the top. And it was suggested that this dome be enlarged just to make it have the same footprint. Well, we can't really do that without putting a nice big column in between these 2 joints, and that looks pretty ugly. I have tried it, so I'm not going to do that one, but I am going to therefore tile this edge here. It's just I haven't got the pieces yet, so they're on order, but that's a good suggestion. And then round to the back again. This better not fall over. I'm a bit nervous of it now. It's done it once. All these different edges and me trying to do it one-handed. There we go. Right, so we've done that floor. On this floor, yes, we had the rocket coming out, but now we've got loads and loads of shattered glass all over the ground on that side below, where the window has been blown out. There were no change. Oh, yep. Must remember to do that. Then this floor had no changes. The special space floor only had the name suggestions for the robot and Penny one. So you've got Benny, Kenny, Lenny, Jenny, and now Penny. And then on this floor, we've moved up the Explorians TV sort of bit, so it's up there. Little suggestion, but a good one. And that's all our amendments for this building. So let's get it in position. Okay, well there it is against the wall. And I think it looks a lot safer there. And you can still see all of the scenes, I think, against the background. Mrs. Hood suggested adding a black backdrop, kind of made out of paper, for this dome on top. And although I agree that would look quite spacey, I'm not sure if it will make it a bit too dark, whereas it's very light at the moment. So I'll have to think about that. But as long as I don't knock it over again, I'll be very happy indeed. And I may move its position. I mean, it could go anywhere along this wall in due course, in front of the door for the closet, or in front of that light switch. I will be taking off that door handle, actually, in due course, but nonetheless. But at the moment, I thought I'd have it here, so it was a nice view at the end of our street, that very tall, kind of iconic building. So I think that is a pretty good view, actually. Right, so now on to the meat of the video, the trains. I've got 3 things planned for today on trains. 2 are amendments of things that we've done already. And the third one is something new, which I think will be really good fun, actually. So I'm really looking forward to doing that one. But the first of the 3 is actually this baggage car for the white fast train, set 60051. And it was a suggestion that I got quite a while ago about these doors, in the fact that they're quite low down. Now, I quite like them because, you know, the white bit is uninterrupted at the top, and the red stripe is continuous around the bottom. But it was pointed out that when this is actually in the station and the platform's pretty much level with my hand like that, then the doors are going to be far too low to use very well. And I've proved this to be the case when I've gone to my main station, put this in, you know, the platform does obscure the bottom part of the doors. So it was a very simple suggestion to move the doors up by 1 whole brick. And you can see now I've got this dark grey layer here. We've still got the continuous white stripe, but now these doors actually break into that white bit a little bit, but you know, it really doesn't matter. And I think it actually looks a lot better. So now when this pulls up to the platform, the lip is pretty much level with the edge of the platform, which will enable the people to transport all of their goods straight in to the car. So, awesome suggestion. And while we're here, another awesome suggestion was to actually use some of the stickers from the recent sticker pack. And they're very hard to show you here, but they're basically clear versions of these ones above. So if we look at those, they say City Mail on them, and they've got the envelope with the kind of wings or motion attached to them. And I thought I would stick those on the windows instead of, well, definitely the second class badge there, and maybe also the bicycle badge as well. So it's definitely a dedicated mail car, and I think that'll just make it a bit more different from the rest, or unique really. So I will give that another bedoing. Right, so I've clearly done one side already, so I'm going to do the other side as well and put the stickers on. So there we are. There is the finished mail car with the raised door on both sides, and I think it looks really good. It's important to me that this red stripe is continuous on the white train, and it still is the case, but now it's just at a more usable level. And you can see I've added the City Mail stickers onto all 4 of the corners, and I think they look really good as well at distinguishing it from the others, so happy with that. They are a little faint, and that's a criticism that I've got of all of the stickers that are in this sticker pack. They're not exactly done with the sort of thickest ink or whatever you use on these things. So I could have used the red and black ones, but I just think that'd stand out far too much. So yeah, I think this is the right choice. But again, I think that looks really different and special. Right, so next on the list of carriages that I want to do some changes to is this one. From the cargo train, it is the caboose, which is the car at the back of the train, which can act as a brake van or just lodgings for the train men, also to ensure that the train all stays together in one piece, as didn't happen on my recent full city tour. And what I want to do with this one is basically make it double-ended. Now, when I released this, there was a lot of comments and consternation about which way round this thing should be, in the fact that it's got a very small kind of, if any, gantry on the back, and it's got a much bigger one on the front, as I used it, which meant that the man with his nice mug of tea could look forward over the train, doing part of his job, but he couldn't look backwards to do the other part of his job. But there were brake lights on the back here, which suggested this should definitely be the bit facing back. So it was a bit frustrating to me because I didn't really know the answer because I'm not massive on trains. And I thought I would cure this problem once and for all by making this properly double-ended. You can see it's almost symmetrical as it is, maybe not with the windows and so on, but with the general structure, in that there's only 2 studs available on this end and only 1 on this end. So if I basically shrink the structure just by 1 brick, then essentially I can start to make it symmetrical. Now, I want to keep the top bit, I want to keep the roof all the same, because there's pretty much not much I can do with that, given it's 4 broad pieces. But what I think I can do is just take kind of a slice out of this main car bit by probably taking out this gap between the windows, though I do still want that to align with that. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty tricky. That's probably actually going to have to move out of alignment with the top bit, and we'll remove this sort of one wide piece here. And then we'll need to put in another door, like the door behind the man on that end as well. And don't know if the brake lights will survive or not. But anyway, it's going to require a bit of playing with. And I think while I'm at it, I'll do some other changes, which will be changing the window style from the ones in the door, which I'm going to use the traditional train windows, like these ones, instead of the normal windows that I've got here. But I do want to keep those on all of the sides because they've got this lovely ornate glass. But yeah, I thought I'd mix it up with a bit of both. Oh, and another suggestion was to actually add some sort of brake wheel onto the end, or probably each end, so the thing can actually act as a brake van. So I'll do that as well. So a big for all those combined suggestions. Right, I'm going to get going. Right, so here is our double-ended caboose, all made better. Hopefully this will satisfy all of the train pedants out there. I know it's important to get these things right for everyone, but we've got it kind of symmetrical, as you can see if I hold it like that. The windows are different, but I mean for the ends, I've got a light bluish grey brake wheel on each end now, as well as the ladder and all the rest so we can get on the roof, and these ladders to get up. This red bit with the nice logo on isn't perfectly aligned with the roof now, but I don't suppose that really matters. The roof can still be removed, and we can look at the stove and the pan and the chair and so on. So that's still all intact. We can have the smoke going that way now, because this will definitely be the back when I bring it back, because we've got the brake lights on this end. And I've put on another magnet connector on this end, which I didn't have one on before, because I know that's technically correct to have it even if it is the last car in the train. But now he can look back at the track behind, drinking his mug of tea. So I think that's a real success. I definitely prefer it. So good. And while I'm here, just to prevent something happening that happened on the full tour video where this became disconnected, I'm going to be using 1x2 grill pieces just to connect onto the magnets like that to join my cargo train pieces together. So this actually makes the magnet a bit stronger in a way by just adding that extra connection with both halves. So you would put it onto the next one as well. There's a stud on the top there. And that will just mean that when my very powerful engines sort of take off with a bit of a jerk, that none of these connections are broken, or indeed just come undone because they hit a small bump or something like that. So I'm going to do that throughout my cargo train. I don't think it'll be as necessary with the passenger trains, but I've got quite a few, so that'll be a good improvement. Right, so on to the main event. Now this is a design that I've had for quite a while, and it's a bit unfortunate that other people on YouTube have done a similar one recently, but this isn't copying because I had done mine quite a long time ago, but I hadn't got around to showing you it. So what I've decided to make is a pump wagon. Now you may not know what one of those is, or have a different name for it, but basically it's a hand-powered cart that would go on a railway, and you'd have two men, one on either side, and they'd take it in turns on pushing down on the pump, and it would basically turn an axle, which would turn the wheels and propel the car up and down the railway. Now, obviously, it's not very fast because it's not actually attached to a train or an engine. It's just hand-powered, but they could get a little bit of motion going. So I wanted to build one of those, and I'm going to do it in a way that hopefully you can follow and do it yourself if you're interested. So the first thing is to make one of the sides just with two 1x8 plates and a 1x8 technical brick, and then a slightly more complicated other side, so 1x8 plate with a 1x4 and a 1x2, but with the gap. And it's just because we need to raise the other 1x2 up by one plate. So we're going to put a 1x2 plate, then the 1x2 Technic brick, and then 1x4 and 1x2. So we've got two equally sized sides, except one's got a hole that's slightly out of position. Then we need a 6-long axle with a spacer on it and one of these very small cog wheels. So that can go, in the end one, and we'll go kind of like that. And then I need it to be powering a bigger gear. And this will mean that for every, say, 10 turns of this wheel, we'll only get 1 turn of this wheel. It's not quite the ratio that it is, but nonetheless, it will slow it down. Because otherwise, when this is moving on the track, the poor men will be going like the absolute clappers, like that, and we don't want that. We want it to look a bit more seesaw-like, kind of that sort of speed. So slowing it down is imperative in my mind. So we'll mount that on one of these pins in that specially placed axle hole. So there we go. So we can see already that that is turning that. And for every one turn of this, you're only getting a fraction of a turn of that one. So there we go. So that's like that. And then before we close all this up, I do want to use these holes that are on this gear to put on a normal pin and then one of these 5 long half width pieces. So it's kind of like that. And then I can put the 2 sides together and they're just held loosely just by that axle at the moment. And then I'll get the other axle and some train wheels to pin it all together. So I'll just do it loosely for now. A couple more train wheels. Now I've got the ones with the kind of rubber bands around them, which you usually get when you buy a motor. And I think that'll give it the grip we need, because when this is getting pushed around or pulled around the train tracks, then we need it to get enough grip and not just sort of slide over it, because otherwise, if it doesn't get the grip, it won't turn the wheel, because there will be a bit of resistance in all that. Get that on the right side of that. There we go. So that is our very basic base for our pump wagon. Now the next bit, we just need to get some platforms for people to stand on. So I'm doing a 2x4 plate on each end and a 1x6 plate in dark bluish grey for each of the sides. And this should start to give it a bit of structural strength. There we go. And I'm going to make that even stronger with some 1x3 tiles in black. I'll make it look a bit smarter as well. There we go. So there is our basic wagon. And if we turn that wheel, we can see that one is going with its lever arm moving as well in a sort of eccentric circle. Now, I'm not very good with technical Lego. So basically, when I do something like this, it's just a matter of trial and error. And I did try lots of different ways. You can have the actual axle that's turning there, turning something that has got a sort of bump on it to make a very eccentric circle there. But I found that this one going into a larger gear slowed it down as well at the same time and made a much better motion. So now we need to build up the body of this to have actually hold the pump itself. And I got these on a recent haul. It's just a 1x2 brick, but it's got the rail logo on. So I thought, add a bit of colour. And with the logo on as well, why not? So there we go, we've got that on both sides. And then I'm going to use these pieces to hold the pump itself, which are these sort of 1x2 plates with a round bit over the top. So that's going to be the area that it's going to pivot over, and this will connect to it. So first of all, the connection itself, you need one of these pins that has got the half stud coming out of the side. And I'm going to put that into a similar piece, which is a 1x2 modified plate with the Technic axle hole on the underneath. So I can put that on there and clip that onto the end of my lever arm. Okay, so I'll leave that to one side. It all gets a bit fiddly in a minute. And then I need to build the actual pump arm itself, which is the bit that will go like that. And you can see I've made that out of a modified plate 1x2 with the Technic hole on the top in dark bluish grey, and a 1x2 curved slope, a 1x1 plate in there, and another 1x2 curved slope, just to make all the dark bluish grey bits. Got a 4 long axle with one of the half a stud width spaces in there, and then I've got a little setup here with the black plates on the bottom of a 1x4, a 1x3, because it's 7 long, and I've got a 1x2 bracing the join of those two just to make it a little bit stronger. So it's not the most robust build, I must say, but to get it done on this very, very small scale is very difficult indeed. And I do believe it will be strong enough to actually work. So you can see that's there, that now tips back and forward, but at the moment it's free, so we just need to attach it to the workings, the actual mechanism. Now this is the fiddliest bit, so I'll either spend 10 minutes trying to do this on video, or I'll do it straight away. Let's hope it's the latter. There we go. I've attached it. Now the important thing to note here is that's actually attached half a stud in. So you can see on the end of there, before the bit that's on the bottom is joined on, is half a stud off. And that's quite important to get that spacing right so we get the motion. So now I'm going to turn the wheel. See, this end's fully down now. Turn it that way. Now that end's fully down over there and this one's fully up. And there's no resistance. And it's nice and smooth. Now that is just the product of a lot of trial and error. But I think it's about as small as you can get, and I think it looks pretty good. The colour scheme's a bit drab, but I think it probably would be. So all we need now is to get some handlebars on each of these sides to make the pump kind of work and attach to people, and some people to drive it. So I thought my story would be that for some reason, some people were trying to catch up with the back of the cargo train, maybe to tell this guy a very important message. I was thinking maybe that could be to do with all the criminals that are currently sort of either on the train or watching the train to try and rob the bullion car. So I thought if they were trying to catch up with him to hand him a message, then maybe I could have this whole device being pulled by this train. So I thought ultimately I will attach one of these cords that's got the one stud on each end. I thought I'd put one on there, and I could put one onto the very back of this magnet piece as well. Maybe on the bottom actually, it might be a bit more level, to actually drag it around. And that means that when my cargo train is actually moving, it will be causing the, well, illusion, I suppose, that the pump wagon crew are pumping it very solidly, with a lot of effort to make it run. So it will kind of look like that. So you can see it doing their 1, 2, 3 there. It's not very fast, but that's because of the gearing. But I think when the train is actually charging round, that'll be plenty fast enough. So that's how I'm planning to use it. So the crew I need on here, therefore, are 2 trainmen. And I thought I'd use the blue uniform trainmen, and that's largely because I've got quite a few of them. You see, I've got a handlebar piece there as well, so I can kind of attach each of these crew onto each end, and they can kind of be flying with the momentum of it. There we go. So that's quite fun, and he's got a really scared face on. And then the other one has got a very stern face, but he's sweating, so he's really determined, and I can put him on this end. Now that all looks very well. Let's reattach this onto here and pull it along so we can see it with the men attached. Oh, dragging a bit there. There we go. I think it's because this man's slightly off centre. But what I thought I could make this even better was with different legs, because these people are very rigid at the moment and they don't look like they're moving very much. I think it's quite fun that they're moving in their position, going up and down like that. But I think it'd be even better if they were moving in the arms or legs. Now, the problem with the arms is they move in a very weird angle, really, because the body gets sort of wider as it goes down. So we can't really loosen the arms and make them move in a very realistic motion because the grip position will always be the same. But we can do something with the legs. And what I've decided to do is get some of these legs, and they're very special ones. These are the spring-loaded ones that are used in some of the sports sets, especially the basketball ones. See, if I let go, it's got a little spring on each side, and that kind of flings it into the upright position. Well, here's another one, and I've actually taken out the springs. And that's quite easy to do. You just basically poke them with something pointy and fire them out across your room. That's what happened when I did it. But you end up with these very, 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 very floppy legs. So what I thought I could do was basically, because they're in dark blue, it's the exact right colour, put floppy legs onto each of these guys. So when they are being pulled along by the cargo train, not only will they move up and down, but their legs will sort of flap around as well. It's a bit hard to show you here, but you can see those legs are flapping. And maybe if I just do it with my hand here, you'll see that his legs almost look like they're going down into the exact right position that he'd land in. And then when he goes up, he sort of straightens his legs and the toe sort of comes forward a bit as well. So it's almost like he's sort of jumping on the spot. So I think when I get both of them on, and maybe when it's going at a higher speed, they might even fling out a little bit further and it will look a lot more realistic. So I'm going to take the springs out of the second pair of legs and stick them on and then we'll try it in the Lego room. Right, so we're up in the Lego room now, and there is the newly mirrored caboose attached to the back of the train, and our new pump wagon attached to that via the cord, exactly as I did it down on the build desk. So that's looking good, and they're looking terrified but ready. And before I start it all going, you can see just there on the join of the two magnets, the 1x2 grill piece in black. So it's on every one now. So I had just enough to get all of those done. So that's good. So here we go. Here is the inaugural journey of our pump wagon. And there we go. Another bit of motion on the train. Oh, and that is fantastic, isn't it? Really happy with how that's moving. It looks quite natural. I mean, it literally looks like it's chasing the caboose. Oh, I'm really happy with that. I do love a bit of dynamism in the Lego City. You can barely see the cord, can you? And I'd already done the cement truck car, which is that one, which turns when the train moves. And it was doing that got me thinking about doing some more. And a pump wagon was an obvious one, but obviously it had to be automated. That is hilarious. Oh, I do like that. Do tell me what you think, but I think that I know what you think. I think that you think it's amazing. And it's amazing how those train wheels with the rubber bands on have got enough grip to really give it that power. But it is important when I was designing it to make sure that it had as little friction as possible, so it really could work in the way that it does. Oh, well, I'm really happy with that. It's just hilarious. So maybe the train guard on the caboose forgot his packed lunch, or maybe they're trying to tell him a really important message about the robbers, because we've got criminals on this train. One is disguised as a tree, and he's there. You see him disguised as a tree on the back of the lumber car, and that's because he's trying to stake out the bullion car, which is the one in front of that, the green and white one, which is full of gold. So yeah, let's wait for our thing to catch up. Oh, that is just comedy. Now I'm going to have to be very careful when reversing this train in the future, that I don't sort of take it out, but I think it'll probably be able to take a bit of reversing just by being gently shoved backwards. Maybe we should give that a go. So we've got our double header with the beast and the hammerhead. So I'll stop that. And let's see if a bit of reversing works. Yeah, it doesn't tip, but at least it doesn't sort of derail or anything like that. So that's good to know. And it's nice that I can start this cargo train up relatively quickly without even looking at it, and know that they're all going to stay together because of those 1x2s. Oh, that's just great. Well, hopefully some of you will be inspired to do the same thing and use my design. It's quite easy. It's not got very many specialist pieces. If you don't have any Technic, you will have to get the ones that you're missing. But I think it's worth it. I think you'll agree. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul, as usual. The packages have piled up. And then on Friday, we'll be coming back to the city to do another city update. See you then!